wonderful here in Lisbon. You know, the great voyages of discovery began right here on this very shore, when people like Henry the Navigator set up his seafarers' school to focus on ocean science and to train the next generation of seafarers and to create the technology of the new ships to plow the oceans. He opened up the way for people like Vasco da Gama and Bartholomew Dias to go to the far corners of our planet. Oceans have been such a critical part in the voyages of discovery, the age of exploration. And it was the Gama and Diaz who got to South Africa, got to my home port, on the exploration to find the new world, to open up globalization. I grew up in Cape Town, the very port that these sailors had gone through. And it was the love of the sea. The DNA of those early explorers are in my heart, in my soul. The oceans have carried us for the history of mankind. Sadly, the oceans have also been abused. It has carried the slave trade. It has carried back the plunder. But it also carried back the curiosity of what lies beyond the horizon, what lies below the surface. That love of the ocean for me was born by my father, who inspired me to be a sailor, to be a diver. He loved the ocean. But the woman that I call my mother, who gave me the ability to really, truly turn the ocean into my world. My mother was an activist. She was an environmentalist. She was an educator. She was a biologist. But most important, she was a teacher. And she taught me to dream big. I hung on to this dream that someday, maybe someday I could sail a boat. And people always said to me, not possible, you don't belong. The color of your skin is wrong. You are poor. I also had a disability. This was South Africa. But I knew that I belonged on the water. I then chose a career as a commercial diver. I ended up working in the oil industry, and I saw firsthand the degradation that the oil industry can do to our oceans. I spent a period mining diamonds on the ocean floor and watched our oceans being stripped of its wealth, but stripped of its soul. And I knew I had to change something. I had to change my way of life, and I had to do something bigger. That dream was to own a yacht, to sail the oceans of the world, and someday to race solo around the world. I named my boat after my mother, Stella. I'm a romantic, the R. But I also recognize the importance of our sea life. And so this next change in my life became, I wanted to race, see as much of this planet, see the 5 oceans, and be a part of every piece of it. And it was incredible being able to go out there. And eventually, I got to race 27,000 miles around our planet. I got to circumnavigate solo, alone on my boat, and spent 195 days with Mother Nature, the ocean and I. But in this journey, recognizing the challenges, commercial shipping has been the lifeblood of commerce. And if the ships that keep plowing our oceans keep transiting, then our oceans are the heart and the arteries of what makes it possible. Our commerce are driven by the transportation of the waters. The more people we have, the more demand will come upon our shipping. And so, looking at these aspects of how vulnerable the seas are, I have seen the storms firsthand. I've encountered the hurricanes. I survived several very, very severe storms, including this summer. This summer, we crossed the Atlantic from America to Portugal. Sailing across here, I waited because of an early season tropical depression that turned into a hurricane. Later this season, we saw another critical hurricane form that went up the coast of Florida on the western side, and then crossed over to the American East Coast. Hurricane Ian, and it cost over $100 billion in damage. We are only quantifying the monetary damage, but we're not quantifying the societal, social damage, nor are we quantifying the economic component to the environment. As more development happens on our coasts, more pressure will come onto the coasts, and hence we have to have stronger governance to protect our wetlands, to protect our coastal lands. But we know so little about our oceans. There are people who want to go to outer space, who want to colonize other planets. I don't have a problem with space exploration and discovery. I use GPS today because of space exploration. But if we cannot take care of this planet, look after Mother Earth, what right do we have to try and build on another planet and to repeat the same mistakes that we have not fixed here? Let's focus on our home, Mother Earth. And so, as I look at where we are with our seas, it is so integrated into our climate. The oceans make up 70% of the surface area. We live on a very small percentage, and we rely on very few people to feed us. 2% of the world's population are involved in feeding 98% of us. The world of agriculture, the small farmer. Unfortunately, it is the small farms who make up the majority of farmers. They are less than 2 hectares of land. But those farmers cannot adopt new technologies because they are barely surviving. If they fail in providing food, we will not survive. And so we truly have to understand what is happening in our population growth. And what role do we play as more people putting more pressure on our planet? So we've turned to the oceans, and we've tried to extract as much out of the sea to feed ourselves. There are about 4 million vessels out here fishing. So much of our planet, 3 billion people, depend upon the oceans for protein, between the fishermen and the fish farms. We are dealing with overfishing. We are dealing with pollution issues in the ocean. We are dealing with illegal fishing. But as we go through all of these challenges, the ocean provides us with food. The ocean provides us with a part of our lungs, because the planet, the plankton in the water, attracts and pulls in the CO2 and gives us back our oxygen. We cannot function without this ocean. Now, I have traveled to such far corners of the world, and I'm very much in love with this place we call Mother Earth and what is possible. And I've come to see we have to change. We have to preserve what we have. We only have today. We are at a tipping point now. Where we stand in climate change is so radical. If we don't act now, we will lose our only home. There are many people who don't believe in climate change, but we cannot allow them to hold us back. We have to move forward. And so as I look at the aspect of what are we going to do, I'm going to ask 5 powerful questions. And we must emphatically say yes to all 5 of these questions. Number 1, what I do is right for myself, us as individuals. Yes. What we do, is it right for our family? Yes. But we are also today a global community. Because of the voyages of discovery, we are now able to reach the far corners. The technology has enabled us to communicate with every corner of the world and to be interconnected. What happens in one part of the world has an impact on another part of the world. But as we move forward, we are not just doing stuff for ourselves. We are doing things for the future generation. We cannot survive without continuing to bring new life to our mankind. That next generation is so critical. But how do we educate them? How do we give them the tools to help preserve our oceans? But none of these 4 questions matter if we do not have a planet. What is my impact? What are all our collective impacts on this planet? So I want to organize how we look at the importance of these 5 questions. And we have to come back in that reordering and say, our planet is our home. There is no other home. And I look at our planet as I look at a yacht. When I'm out there sailing the oceans of the world, I have to protect my vessel. I've got to keep the water out and stay out of the storms. And so if I preserve my vessel, I will actually survive getting to my next destination. Our planet is orbiting the sun. If we do not protect our planet, what kind of vessel will there be for the next generation to live upon? Then that brings us to my crew. I may be alone on the boat, but I'm not truly alone. So many people have helped me to get to the start of each one of these races. They have been the volunteers, the folks who believed in my vision, who believed in the mission, who cooperated and worked with me, that put me to sea. And so my success depends upon other people. Our ability to solve the problems on this planet depends on our current and future generations. If we don't like how the world is going to be, it is not because we failed ourselves. It is because we have failed to educate future generations. We have to pass the baton on to that next generation. And again, back to that importance of a global community. We have to cooperate. Without our cooperation, nothing is achievable. So when I'm full crew racing, there are several people who will be on the boat in different positions. There's my tactician, there's my navigator, there are my sail trimmers. There's a tremendous crew behind. But if one member of the crew is not on deck, the whole crew is struggling a bit. And if there's water coming into the boat, and I send someone down to investigate the source of the water and start bailing out the water, if we discover that a crew member is punching a hole in the hull, we have a problem. We can't afford somebody to try and make a hole in our boat as we're trying to sail across these oceans. We have to stop that. We have to then band together, bail out that water. But whilst we make those decisions, I'm asking my sail trimmers to move us efficiently and fast forward. I have to ask my navigator for the right course, the tactician to help to drive us in the right way. As skipper, captain of the boat, I coordinate all of these components. As a global community, we all have to work together and understand the threats that our oceans face and how we are going to solve them. We don't do these things alone. We do them together. This world is such an incredible place, but we are just one species who live on this world, who live in this world. And when we see the storm cloud building on the horizon, that fear that can grip us, that fear can be paralyzing and overwhelming. When I'm on that boat and I see those storm clouds, I don't say, hey, storm, all stop. I'm not ready for you. That storm doesn't care whether I'm ready or not. That storm is coming. It's up to me to shorten my sails, to alter my course, and to sail to safer waters. If we look at our oceans and the climate we are facing, it is going to keep changing. We have to adapt. Our ability of adaptability is so incredible. I continue to sail the oceans of the world with my wife. We sailed from the Americas to Portugal. Our vessel is now on the Algarve. We're going to continue to explore the world. But as we explore this world, we truly have to recognize that we have the ability to make improvements. We have the choice on how we shall address these major societal problems. We cannot be overwhelmed by the scope of global change. We have to look and say, what can we each individually do? What are the choices? And hence, we have to vote. We have to choose our leaders wisely. Are they representing our interests? Are they recognizing our challenges? Government may not be the answer, but let's put people into power who are at least going to hear the questions and understand the responsibility that come with these questions. Big corporations are part of our challenge because global capitalism is all about extractive capitalism. Our current model of consumption in capitalism does not work. And so we need to build the entrepreneurs, the small business owners, the medium-sized companies, people like yourselves who have gathered here at Web Summit, 72,000 droplets of water, 72,000 people who can make a change, can make a difference in how we operate, how we choose to consume, how we choose to live. That power is truly in our hands. As we look to the next generation, I am hopeful. I've met some incredible people this week who are working to solve these problems. We each, if we put our hands on those oars and we row, we can move this challenge forward. It is in our ability. It is truly, as technology enables us to do things, we can make progress. Now, I did not become a sailor because I watched a few YouTube videos of a few influencers and called myself a sailor. No, I have used the web. I've used technology to enhance my skills. But I get out there and I practice. I hone my skills. I hone my craft to be an expert. And yes, we can share. But we have to be smart in what we share. We have to take responsibility for what it is that we shall do going forward. Again, we are the droplets of water. We are the ones who can come together and create this big body of the ocean and create the changes. We can put that wind in our sails, utilizing our technology to, again, bring the changes. Choose who you purchase from based on what is their ethics, what are their values. Do they share the things that are near and dear to your heart? Are they part of the solution, or are they part of the challenge? It's up to us to decide what kind of world, what kind of planet do we want to live on? Who do we want to live with in this planet, and pass it on to which communities? And so I want to close by addressing 4 Ps. We first have to look at our sense of our planet, one home. Then we have to look at who are the people. Why are we here? And then we come to our purpose. What do we serve in the direction of mankind? And when we get these 3 things right, we are then eligible to the 4th P, what some call the profit. But how we choose to measure profit has to change. This neoliberal capitalist model that we have does not take into consideration the cost to society and the cost to our planet. We truly have to bear that cost and put it into the factors of what is the real true cost to our world, our society, our people. If we look at these things, we build the knowledge base, we cooperate, then yes, we will save our beloved ocean, 70% of our planet, and we will save this home that we call Mother Earth. Together, we have that ability. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the journey.